All right, hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila reporting from Dallas County, and we are here joined, as always, Sahara Ale reporting from also Dallas County, and Ruby Rodriguez reporting from very south of Dallas County, and Isabella Bisbal reporting from the University of Central Florida. How is everybody doing today?
That's a loaded question. I don't think you want to know.
So super good.
I don't think you can ask somebody in 2020, how are you doing without
like you really want to know.
Yeah. Is it like the same as asking like what your gender is?
Oh god.
No.
Oh.
No, do you mean sexuality?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many things going on.
I don't think it's like that. No.
Oh.
That's a pretty straightforward question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
That's 2020.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about a pilot episode for a show called Swing Low. So hopefully it'll be pretty good. So I'm going to start sharing it with everyone. Entire screen. Oh wait, actually let me do it this way. I just got a double monitor so I can do this.
Ooh, you're fancy with it. Wow.
See, there it is. Now I can do this, and now I can see you.
There it is.
Awesome.
All right. So
possible to make that script screen a little bigger?
Yeah. Oops. There. How's that?
There we go. Yes.
Great.
Okay. So we're gonna get started. There's a lot of like scene direction, so I'm gonna do that. So today we're gonna be talking about Swing Low pilot parentheses. I mean not parentheses hyphen rewrites written by Travis Ketzak. So let's see. So fade in, exterior, swamp, day. Bang! A gunshot rings out. 3 old tin cans sit on a log in a secluded swamp. The log sits on a patch of dirt, surrounded mostly by murky water, still rippling from the mist shot. Willow trees loom overhead, allowing beams of afternoon light to sneak through in places. Bang! Another shot rings out. The water behind the log splashes. Dio, it's actually pronounced Dio, excuse me. A black woman, mid-20s, stands pointing an old single-shot Derringer pistol forward. She's dressed poorly, wearing a large rag as a poncho and an old farmer's hat. Superimposed, deep in southern Georgia, 1857. Dio's brow furrows at the log. She pours some gunpowder down the barrel, rams down a ball and piece of sealing rag with a small metal rod, and places a starter cap in front of the hammer. She fires the pistol again. Bang! The water behind the log splashes again. The cans remain unharmed, mocking her. Dio grits her teeth. She angrily loads another shot. She takes a deep breath before raising the pistol again. Bang! A can goes flying off the log. Dio smirks, pleased with herself. She loads yet another shot and rises it. She pulls the trigger. Exterior cotton field. Day. Crack. Malachi. Pronounced Maluk-I. A black man, late 20s, wearing ragged pants and no shirt, is whipped in the back. He cries out in pain. He's tied... No, Malachi. He's tied to the post of a tall wooden fence. He drops to his knees, tears welling in his eyes. He's whipped again. Crack. He's revealed to be missing a few fingers in his hands, including a thumb, the remains of which are still bleeding.
My God.
Yeah, that's a thing that plantain owners did to their slaves. If they acted out, they would cut off their fingers. Because they still wanted them to work, so they needed their limbs, but their fingers are going to be cut off. I don't know why he cut off his thumb, though, because now he won't be able to hold things.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how would that even work? Like,
if you want them to work.
I know. Yeah. They would only do, like, the this top bit of the main four fingers, but they would leave the thumb alone. So that might be a little bit of an error on the writer's part. It's a little nitpicky, but it's the small things. So
Yeah.
the white farmer, holding the whip, pauses for a beat, looking at Malachi before whipping him again. Crack. Other slaves work in the fields around them. Exterior, mansion, day. A huge mansion sits at the edge of a cotton field, with a swamp on the other side. It's later in the day. The sun hangs low in the sky. I wouldn't call those types of homes mansions. They were more like plantation homes, which are generally average at the time. So, but I can
Have you seen
understand.
one of them these days? They still look like mansions to me.
Yeah, they are pretty big, so I can understand. So Elliot, a rich-looking white man, late 40s, sits in the desk looking at some papers. Sade, Sade, that's how it's pronounced, Sade. A black woman, early 30s, enters the room. She's dressed in a similar fancy manner. She carries over a tray of food and tea to Elliot and sits down on the desk. Thank you, Sade. He pronounces it Sadie. Oh, thank you, Sadie. He smiles at her and takes a sip of the tea. He smiles back. She smiles back at him and leaves the parlor. Interior, mansion, hallway, day. Sade walks down the hallway. Marianne, a witch-looking white woman, late 30s, passes by her. She looks put together, but still searches for meaning in her life. Her eyes have a dead, glossed-over look.
I washed your dress this morning, Miss Marianne. It's drying now.
Thank you, Sade. Did Elliot eat dinner yet?
I just gave it to him.
Sade is careful not to make eye contact with Marianne.
Great. Feel free to call it a night once you put little Dylan down for bed.
The two women smile at each other and walk in the opposite directions. Interior, mansion, bedroom, night. The sun sets outside, casting rays of light through the window of the child's bedroom. Dylan, a little boy around the age of 5, white, sits up on the bed. Sade sits next to him on the bed. It is clear that they are very close. Dylan trusts her.
Have you ever heard of Anais?
Anansi.
Anansi.
Yeah. Am I Dylan? No.
There are many stories of him. Sometimes he is a hero. Sometimes he's just a man. Sometimes he's even a spider.
How could he be a spider?
Well, there are stories, so you can...
Scroll
Sorry. So you can
so
tell
you
whatever.
can tell it however you want.
Oh.
What do you want? What is it?
Anansi.
Anansi
Yeah.
to be in your story.
Oh, I don't know.
How about a fish?
No, you stupid. Dylan laughs. Oh, no. Ha 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 ha. Sade laughs with him.
You're old. Deep voice.
Yeah, his puberty came early.
Well, what then?
A tiger.
A tiger. Tigers are scary, aren't they?
No, I like tigers.
All right then. And see the tiger.
Anansi the tiger, yes.
Nanzi, I don't know.
Dylan smiles and lays on the bed, getting comfortable.
One day, Anansi the tiger decided that he would gather all the world's wisdom.
Wisdom?
Yes, all the art, the history, every good idea that anyone's ever had. He gathered it all and put it in a basket to keep it safe. The basket didn't have a lid, though.
Dylan looks on, interested, but getting sleepy.
He worried that it might spill, so he carried it out to a tall, thorny tree by the sea. He decided that he would hang it up on the high branch. As he carried to the trees, his curious little son noticed and watched.
Dylan looks intrigued, but is on the verge of falling asleep.
He tied the basket around his waist and tried to climb the tall tree.
Dylan starts to drift off, closing his eyes. Sade smiles and cuts the story short. She leans and kisses Dylan on his forehead.
Good night, Dylan.
Good night, Sade. Dylan
Why
pronounces her
does
name.
Dylan sound like an older
I
man?
know.
Isn't he supposed to be a child?
He's supposed to be 5, but he's mature for his age. Good night, Sadie. Sade gets up from the side of his bed and quietly walks to the door. Interior, slave shack, night. The old dilapidated shack seems barely livable and yet very lived in. It is well kept, clean, but falling apart. The door opens with a creak and Sade enters. She sighs deeply as she locks it behind her.
How was your day?
Fine.
Because mine was shitty.
Why? Because you're a slave?
Yeah.
Malachi sits at the table bowl of porridge. She stares down at it, but not looking at Sade. His hand is loosely bandaged and bloody. He fumbles with the spoon.
What happened?
Nothing, Sade.
It's not nothing.
Malachi tries to hide his hand.
Malachi!
She grabs his hand to inspect it. She sees that he recently lost a thumb, and the two of them are silent for a moment.
How's the house?
Sade huffs and walks away from him to the stove. She grabs a metal bowl and scoops herself some porridge.
Still got your fingers. Ain't no cotton gins in the house for them to get stuck in.
Sade ignores him and sits on the table with her bowl of porridge.
Your thumb?
And it don't just cut it off nice and clean. Oh no, it slowly pulls at it. You feel your bones separate.
Do you know what this means?
Skin tears. All you can do is watch.
Stop. Do you know what it means to lose a thumb?
Malachi pauses to eat some porridge, seeming nonchalant.
It means I can't work. Not as much, anyhow.
Sade sighs.
It means you aren't worth as much to them anymore.
Maybe I can come work in the house like my big sister.
Sade doesn't answer him. There's a lot of tension between them. They both eat their porridge.
They find Dio yet?
No.
I'm sure if these Dixieland goat fuckers don't get her, the Gators will.
Don't say that.
What a family we've become. A runaway, a cripple, and a house nigger. Mother and father would have been so proud.
You don't have to say that word if you don't want to.
Yeah, I was like, cringe.
Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Sade gets up from the table abruptly and walks away, upset. Malachi sighs, looking down at his porridge. Sade looks out the window, up at the lit-up mansion. Malachi breaks down in tears. He tries to fight it, but he can't. Sade turns and goes to him. She puts her hand around him as he continues to cry. You gotta cry.
I worry about her.
Nice.
Dio will come back. I know she will.
How can you know that?
Because we're family.
Even if she does come back, she'll be hanged.
Sade lets go of the hug and looks down at him.
Don't say that.
But she will. She did this to herself. What was she thinking running off like this, not saying anything to anyone? She's a fool.
She's strong-willed.
That's why people talk her. She's a fool.
Malachi laughs a bit. Sade tries not to, but also laughs.
You've been spending too much time with them crackers. Gonna start playing parlor games and shit.
They laugh some more.
I heard dominoes is fun. And checkers.
Oh, shut up, you ass.
Sade sits back down and continues eating her porridge. Exterior and general store, night. A small general store sits in the middle of nowhere, wilderness and swampland surround it, and a dusty, empty road runs past it. Interior general store, night. The store is well stocked with variety of goods. The darkness of the night blankets every corner. The silence of the night air is interrupted by a creak, which is promptly followed by a loud crack. Suddenly, the back door opens. Now sporting a broken latch, and walks Dio. She wears a rag poncho, a cloth tied around her face, and the farmer's hat pulled down low over her eyes. Her face is almost completely hidden. She's also got a large sack down over her shoulder. She quickly moves about the store, filling the sack with goods. She grabs the food, liquor, cigars, and a variety of clothes, ammunition, and a wealth of makeup. She notices the case of dried meats and grabs some. She also opens the cash register and takes all of the cash from it. She stuffs as much stuff into her sack until she can barely carry it. Then she leaves the store, closing the broken door behind her. Exterior, willow tree branches, night. High up in the branches of a large willow tree, a rope is tossed up over one of the branches and pulled out. Exterior, willow tree, night. At the bottom of the large willow tree, Dio pulls the rope with some effort, seemingly hoisting something up above her. Once satisfied, she ties it off on one of the low branches. She sits down on the ground, leaning up against the trunk. She picks up a can of peaches and eats from it. She picks up the bottle of whiskey and takes a drink. She leans her head back up against the old tree, satisfied. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath. She reaches in under her poncho and pulls out her Derringer pistol. She looks at it carefully. She tries to spin it on her finger. She isn't good at it. She keeps trying, looking determined. Something takes a low, raspy hiss. Dio stops spinning her pistol and looks around. There is a large alligator nearby, looking at her. Dio stares at it. It stares back, making the hiss sound again. Dio and the alligator continue their standoff. Dio slowly reaches into one of her pockets and pulls out some of the dried meat she took from the store.
You hungry?
She tosses the meat to the alligator. The alligator catches them in its mouth and swallows them. It gives Dio one more look before crawling back into the water and swimming away. Dio smiles and opens some of the dried meat herself. She attempts one more spin trick with her pistol, succeeding to a degree. She smiles again, chewing the tough meat. What a cool lady. Exterior, willow tree, branches, night. High up on the branches of the big willow tree, Dio climbs and she makes her way up to the large, sturdy branch. Several stacks, like the one she filled at the general store, are revealed to be suspended by ropes in the branches around her. The large branch is supporting a makeshift hammock with the help of an adjacent branch. Dio crawls into it. There's a small cigar box in the hammock with her. She opens it and takes out a cigar and a matchbook. She uses a match to light the cigar, puffing on it until some smoke... Okay, so we're back at it again. Alright, so a little recap. Dio just stole a bunch of stuff, encountered an alligator. She fed the alligator, and now she's doing stuff. So exterior, blah, blah, blah. High up on the branches of the big willow tree, Dio climbs. She makes her way up to the large, sturdy branch. Several sacks, like the one she lifted at the general store, are revealed to be suspended by ropes in the branches around her. In the large branch is supporting a makeshift hammock. With the help of an adjacent branch, Dio crawls onto it. There's a small cigar box in the hammock with her. She opens it and takes out a cigar and a matchbook. She uses the match to light the cigar, puffing on it until some smoke produces... She shakes out the match and tosses it over the side. She lays down and relaxes on the hammock, taking a long drag from the cigar. Exterior, swamp, night. The large willow tree sits amongst dozens of identical-looking others. All the dense and muddy swamp in the middle of nowhere. Exterior, plantation, day. The plantation is busy. Slaves work out in the cotton fields, and workers go in and out of the mansion. The sun is high in the afternoon sky. Interior, mansion, hallway, day. A door opens in the hallway, and a woman, early 30s, dressed extravagantly but scandalously, walks out and down the hallway. Elliot walks out behind her, still buttoning his pants back up. She makes his way down to the hallway. Marianne comes around the corner and sees both of them. Her and Elliot briefly make eye contact before they're going their separate ways. Oh no. Interior, mansion, parlor, day. Elliot walks into the well-decorated parlor. He walks up to the desk in the middle of the room and sits down. Looking down at the papers that are strewn about, among them is a wanted poster for Dio. Elliot picks a cigarette holder off the table and takes a cigarette out of his jacket pocket. He sticks it into the holder, lights it with a match, and takes a long drag, and slowly exhales, and he leans back into his chair. Interior, mansion, master bedroom, day. Marianne walks into the lavish master bedroom and shuts the door behind her. She takes a deep breath and sits on the edge of the bed. She stares forward as a tear slowly runs down her cheek. She wipes it away, but quickly breaks down in tears. She tries to control herself, but continues to cry. She grits her teeth and manages to shift from depression to anger. She opens a drawer from the end of the table and pulls out an old metal syringe and glass bottle of clear liquid. She injects some of the liquid into the syringe and promptly injects the needle into her arm. Oh no, she's doing the drugs.
Back in those days?
Yeah, it's plantation heroin. So she's
white and wild.
Yeah.
There's opium.
Opium into her bloodstream. Okay. She takes the needle out and puts it back. She takes a deep breath, but her anger doesn't seem to subside. She gets up and goes to the mirror on the wall, which appears to be quite broken. She stares at her broken reflection for a moment. The opium begins to kick in, and her eyes begin to dilate. Whoa! She's tripping out. She punches the already broken glass, breaking it further. Building her knuckles against the shards, she slowly twists her fist. Blood runs down the glass. She watches it fill the web of cracks. Her broken reflection stares back. Exterior, mansion, parlor, day. Elliot continues to puff and his long cigarette while looking over papers of the desk. There's a knock on the door. Oh, yeah? The door opens, and Sheriff James White, early 50s, enters. He wears professional clothes with a badge on his shirt. Ah, Sheriff James, any word?
Nothing yet, but another shot was robbed last night.
You think it was her?
Could have been. Could have been another runaway.
N-word.
N-word. Been a passing Yankee. That should be just as expensive, but anyway.
Yeah.
Could have been any old degenerate. Hard to say for sure.
Right, it was her.
Elliot, I don't mean to undermine you or nothing, but what is it about her that you're so fixated on? N-words run off sometimes. That's just how it goes. Some of them just don't know no better. You got plenty of others still.
This one's got me worried at all. She could read. She could shoot. She was angry.
Even so, they can't survive on their own.
I know that. I just got it in my mind.
Well, you keep paying me. I'll keep doing my job. If you want, I could start hiring privately. Bounty hunters can cross country or even state lines if you need be.
I reckon she'll be staying in the county for a little while, I reckon.
Well, just let me know. It's an option.
That's the name of the show. Yeah. Elliot stares off for a moment. She takes another drag from this long cigarette and slowly exhales smoke. I think you meant to say cigar. Interior barn day. Malachi stands at a large table running a cotton gin. He awkwardly turns the crank on his left hand, keeping his thumbless right hand down by his side. He struggles with it. Another man comes up to him. Let me do it. The man tries to push Malachi away. Malachi resists.
I got it.
It don't look like you got it. We have work to do. Non-paying work.
I got it.
Malachi insists on running the machine himself. He continues to awkwardly crank it, slowly but surely. The other man gives up and walks away. Walks away. Interior, mansion, parlor, day. Elliot still dits at his desk, whatever that means, smoking another long cigarette. But there's a knock on the door. Yup. The door opens and Sade comes in with a tray of food and tea. Ah. Elliot clears some of his papers off his desk to make room. Sade places a tray of food and tea on the desk. She politely bows her head and turns for the door. Sadie. Sade stops short of the door and turns.
Yes, sir?
Your sister. Things aren't going to turn out good for her, you know. Why am I telling you this?
Of course, sir.
You tell me if you knew anything about her.
Yes, of course I would, sir.
The two of them pause for a beat. Elliot studies Sade. He nods. I knew you would, Sade, because you know what's good for you. I'm a cartoon villain. Sade forces a smile.
I sure do, sir.
Elliot smiles and nods. Thank you, Sade. Sade politely nods, smiles, and leaves the parlor. Exterior, mansion, hallway, day. Sade closes the door to the parlor behind her, and her face immediately drops to an angry frown.
Asshole.
She turns to look at the hallway and sees Marianne standing right there, looking at her. They both know that Marianne heard Sade's comment to herself. They pause, awkwardly staring at each other for a beat. Finally, Marianne smiles at her.
Feel free to call it a night after you put Dylan down for bed.
Yes, Miss Marianne.
Exterior, swamp, day. Bang! A shot flings out of a desolate swamp and a tin can goes flying off a log, leaving 2 tin cans remaining. The late afternoon sun drips in through a heavy wilderness. Dio, pointing her Derringer pistol forward, smoke rolling from the barrel, smiles. She loads another shot with the powder, ball, ramrod, and starter cap. She raises the pistol and again fires again. Bang! Another tin goes flying. For a runaway slave, she is making a lot of noise. So, still smiling, Dio reaches down and grabs a bottle of whiskey. She takes a swig, sets it back down, and loads another shot into the pistol. She studies the tin cans in the log. She looks down at the pistol. She quickly spins the pistol on her finger and fires another shot. Bang! The last tin goes to flying. Interior, mansion, bedroom, night. Sade walks into Dylan's bedroom. He is already in bed and smiles at Sade as Sade approaches. Oh, hi, Sadie.
Hello, Dylan. How was your day?
Good. I found a top on the parlor.
A top?
Yeah, look. Dylan reaches over the nightstand and grabs a small wooden top from it. He shows it to Sade. Mommy gave it to me in the parlor.
Did she show you how to spin it?
No, she didn't feel good, and Daddy was working.
Does that happen a lot?
Oh yeah, she gets super high. Sade's concern for Dylan is missed by him and his childish innocence and ignorance. He looks at the top with wonder.
Here, like this.
She takes it from him and spins it on the nightstand. It spins smoothly for a long moment before toppling over. Dylan watches with amazement. Sade smiles at him. Can you tell me about Anansi again?
The tiger?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you remember where we left off?
He had the wisdom in the basket. That's my code phrase.
Right. So Anaze gathered all the wisdom in the basket and set off to hide it, with his son watching.
Dylan smiles, intrigued.
Anaze tied the basket to his tummy and tried to climb the tall tree. The basket was too big, though. He couldn't reach around to climb it. He tried and tried and tried, but he just kept sliding down the tree. He grew angry that he couldn't do it. His son laughed at him and said, "Why don't you tie the basket to your back so you can reach the tree and climb?"
Dylan continues to follow along.
Anaze was dumbfounded. His son was right. He was so dumbfounded, in fact, that he let the basket slide from his arms, and all the wisdom spilled out. Just then, it started to storm, and the rain washed all the wisdom into the sea.
Have any of you guys seen American Gods on Stars? No? Well,
Nope.
Anansi is a character in that show. It's a pretty good show. So, it was God.
Not at all.
Dylan looks confused. Where did it go?
All of Anansi's wisdom spread across the seas and soon across the whole world. And now we all have a little bit of it. Each one of us.
Even me?
Especially you.
Sade touches Dylan's nose. My nose! Ah!
Anaze realized that there is no point in having all the world's wisdom if a little boy could still put you right.
The two share a loving smile.
Good night, Dylan.
Good night, Sade. Sade tucks in Dylan, kisses him on the forehead, and goes to the door. Interior, mansion, library, night. Sade sneaks into the dark, dusty library. She glances around to make sure that nobody sees her as she quietly makes her way to the shelf in the back. She comes to a rectangular wooden case on the shelf. She opens it briefly, smiling at its hidden contents, and closes it promptly. She glances around once more before quietly escaping the library with the case. Interior, slave shack, night. Sade enters the shack. Malachi is sitting at the table again, fumbling with knitting needles and yarn.
How was your day?
It's fine. I don't know how you can do this.
He weaves in the knitting needs and yarn at her.
Insufferable pastime.
Sade snatches the needles and yarn from him, giving him an antagonistic look.
It relaxes me.
She finishes in weaving that Malachi had been struggling with and puts them down on the table.
Were you able to work?
I managed.
Good.
Sade goes to the counter and gets the wooden case.
I stole something from the library today.
Malachi gives her a shocked look. Sade puts the case down on the table and opens it. It's a checkers set.
You mentioned that checkers sound fun. Well, here you are.
Malachi laughs.
Oh, Lord.
Come, it's fun.
She sets up the board for each of them.
Those are your pieces, and these are mine. You can only move diagonally like this.
She demonstrates.
You can take my pieces by jumping them like this.
She demonstrates the jumping.
Okay, you go first.
Malachi reluctantly moves a piece. Sade moves one of hers as well.
Elliot asked me about Dayu today.
What did he say?
They continue to play checkers during their conversation.
Just asked if I knew where she was. Said things would end badly for her.
Of course they will. She won't survive out there, and she won't survive if she comes back.
She might surprise us. You never know.
Even if she manages out there, she just gonna live like an animal for the rest of her life?
Better than living like an animal here.
Animals don't got no checkers.
Sade smirks at him.
No.
We live in high society now.
They both laugh and continue their game.
How's your hand?
How does it look?
He holds up his bloody bandaged hand.
It looks pretty pathetic.
Oh, you showed him, Sade. Sade chuckles. Malachi flicks the underside of his chin, whatever that means, at his hand. Smiling, and the two of them continue to play checkers. Sade moves one of her pieces into the back row.
King me?
What does that mean?
It means you take one of my pieces and put it on top of that one.
He follows her instructions.
Now you're a king?
Yup. And now I can move in any direction.
Stupid white people game.
Sade laughs. Interior, mansion, parlor. Elliot sits at his desk, puffing on a cigarette. He taps his finger against his desk. There's a knock at the door. Yeah? The door opens and Marianne walks in. Marianne, what do I owe the pleasure?
The pleasure of seeing your wife?
Marianne scoffs.
I hardly see it that way, and I hardly imagine you do either.
I'll see it any way I see fit. And if you want any stake in the Poignarde plantation, I suggest you come to terms with that.
You're a vile man, Elliot. That isn't what I came here for.
Well, then allow me to reiterate to what do I owe the pleasure.
You gain any ground on finding Dio?
Dio. Mrs. Poignarde, I never knew you concern yourself with one away and words.
This one's different, Elliot. You know that. She's dangerous. She's angry and vindictive. Always was. Even before she run off. Always giving the overseer slip. Starting fights.
Don't matter.
She is too smart, too.
Marianne points at Elliot.
She knows what she's doing. And now her sister is tucking our son in at night. I don't need no harm coming to Dylan.
Elliot chuckles. Ain't no N-word that knows what they're doing. Ain't in their nature. Marianne stares at Elliot. Nobody says anything for a beat. Elliot sighs, giving up the fight. I already spoke with Sheriff James. Expressed my concern for this particular person. We got it handled. Ain't nothing happening to Dylan.
Well, be that as it may, I have an idea to draw her out.
I never knew you to have ideas either.
Out of hell.
Oh, no. Oh, I've been there for a while. What? Oh, shut up. What is it?
Well, she was mighty close with her sister and her brother at first. Maybe she could use an example of what she's missing.
Elliot takes a long drag from his cigarette, which I don't know was invented at this time, pondering. What you got in mind? Exterior, mansion road, day. An overseer, a white man, early 50s, sitting on a horse, looks over a wagon full of wooden barrels. He counts them carefully. His brow furrows as he finishes counting, and he counts again. He takes out a paper and looks at it before glancing back at the wagon and then to the field. He whistles with his fingers and waves. A man, one of the slaves working on the field, comes running over. Yes, sir?
Numbers are low this week. What's that about?
I don't know, sir. I ain't been picking the cotton gin, ain't been working the cotton gin, just picking it.
Well, you picking less than normal.
No, sir, golly. Same as always. You should check with Mel. He's been working the gin.
I don't give a goddamn who been working what. You're all working, and the numbers are low.
But, sir, the overseer cuts him off.
Boy, you better shut your mouth right now. You already lost provisions for today. You about to lose tomorrow's.
Sir, I got a daughter. She's gotta eat.
Should have thought about that when you let the numbers get so low.
Sir!
Get back to work before I give you a beating, boy.
The man grits his teeth, holding in his anger. Yes, sir. He turns and runs back to the field. Interior, mansion, library, day. Sade and Dylan sat on the floor in the library. Of the books, they're surrounded by bookshelves full of old books that seem to have just been collecting dust. They play with Dylan's top on the wooden floor. Dylan tries to spin it, but it topples over. He tries a second time, but it fails again.
Like this.
Sade spins it and spins it smoothly for a while. Dylan watches in awe. It wavers a bit and topples over. Dylan grabs it and tries again, but it fails. He sighs.
It's okay. Nothing worth it is ever easy.
Those are words to live by. I'll put that in a poster and hang it in my room. So he takes the top.
Do you know how to snap your fingers?
No.
Well, maybe you should practice that first. Here.
She takes his hand.
Put your fingers and thumb together like this.
She positions his fingers properly.
Yep, hold them like that.
She positions her own fingers as well, showing Dylan.
And you just...
She snaps her fingers. Dylan watches, intrigued. She tries to snap his own. The motion is mostly correct, but it lacks the energy to produce the sound. He seems proud of himself nonetheless.
Very good. Keep practicing that, and soon you'll be able to spin the top as well.
Dylan smiles up at her. She smiles back.
All right, I should get back to work. Would you like to come out to the garden with me?
Yeah. Dylan stands up in excitement. Sade smiles brightly at him.
Let's go.
They get up. Interior, barn, day. Malachi stands on the large table running the cotton gin. He is slow and awkward with his missing thumb, but he persists. A few other men, including the man that the overseer scolded earlier, slowly approach from behind, staring at him. Malachi doesn't notice him. He continues to work. Suddenly, one of them men grabs Malachi with both arms, putting him in a chokehold, and drags him backward away from the machine. He drags Malachi back into a corner. Malachi struggles but can't break free. The two men start punching him in the stomach and chest. Malachi cries out. Ah! Exterior, mansion, garden, day. Sade waters flowers in the garden behind the mansion. Dylan swings a stick at a bush, knocking the leaves off. Malachi's scream is heard in the distance. Sade stops watering the bush and turns, looking to see where the scream came from. She looks at the barn down by the fields. There are no other screams, but she looks concerned still.
Dylan, go inside.
How come?
Because I said so. I need to see something. I need to go see about something.
Dylan complies and runs toward the mansion. Sade turns back toward the barn. Interior, barn, day. Another man holds a rag in Malachi's mouth to muffle his cries, while the other still holds him. The crowd is gathered now. A couple men punch Malachi while the others hold him. He tries to scream but can't, with the rag in his mouth. The others continue to punch him and the crowd begins to cheer. Hooray! Suddenly, Sade appears in the barn.
Get off him!
Her shout echoes through the barn. The men punching stop, turn to see her.
What's wrong with you?
Her anger is evident in her shouting. The man that was scolded by the overseer speaks up. What's wrong with us? Look at his hand. We just had to beat him up. The man grabs Malachi's hand and holds it up to Sade, displaying his missing fingers. Malachi struggles to breathe through the pain and the rag. We cannot work like this, and when they see how little he produces, we all pay for it. I've already had my provisions revoked.
That is not his fault. He did not cut off his own fingers.
Another man
His fingers off.
The other man slowly approaches Sade from behind. But it is his fault. He is the one not working. Because of him, my daughter cannot eat tonight.
That is not because of him. It's because of that machine.
The man behind her suddenly grabs her around the neck. The man she has been arguing with approaches quickly with his hand outreached, going for her throat. Sade draws a knife from her pocket and swings it at the man's hand, slicing his thumb and finger. He screams, "Ah!" Holding his hand in pain. Blood gushes through his clenched fingers. Sade cuts the man's arm that is still wrapped around her neck. She lets go and shouts out, holding the small wound. Sade gasps for breath and swings the knife around, dispersing the crowd. She points it at the men holding Malachi, and they immediately let go and leave. Malachi collapses onto the barn floor. Sade waves the bloody knife around to the remaining men, who all leave the barn. Exterior, barn, day. An overseer notices the crowd leaving the barn, but that is where we'll have to end today.
Wait, go a little bit down. Let me see what happens.
Okay. A little sneak peek. Okay, the overseer says, "What are y'all doing? Get back out there." He cracks the roof in the air.
Look free.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's be a damn.
Well, Sade is a badass.
Yeah. He still has.
I don't really understand why they're beating him up though.
Because they're mad. Hurt people.
They were forced to go against each other a lot on plantations, because that was, the slave owners favorite thing to do is don't blame us, blame each other, ha ha ha, fight against each other. Sort of like what our government does to us now.
Okay, Ruby.
Honestly though, for me, I would think you don't need to beat him up. All you'd have to do is just take his rations for your child and be like, you're the reason that I don't get to eat, so I get to take your food.
I think that would have been a lot more impactful if the screenwriter did that instead of just going to the violence route.
It was there to prove a point. It was there to show what the environment and the thinking was like there. They're not thinking about, let me take from this person. They're just like, well, we're all getting beat up, so this is what we're going to keep doing to the ones that come after.
Yeah, you got to also remember that slaves, they weren't educated. They didn't get to read. Not a lot of them knew how to read or write. Only the house slaves were the ones that probably got to read and learn how to write, but most of them out there in the fields, they were just purely going off of emotion all the time, and they didn't know, didn't know.
That's why Dyer was
hopefully that it can give some wisdom. I hope, honestly, I hope she'd be like, why are you mad? And you'd be like, because I got my provisions taken away. It's like, okay, have mine. Leave my brother alone.
Yeah, she seems to be the smarter of the bunch, but again, it's because she's been inside the house. So she's always worked inside the house. Especially her being the badass, not being afraid to use that knife on all of them, and she's pretty brave and tough.
Get that knife.
That's what I was gonna say.
She had that on hand.
Well,
she probably stole it from the house.
Did they ever previously establish that knife before having her use it?
Yeah, they didn't really have it clearly established.
No,
I feel like it would have been more.
I'm pretty sure they'll explain it later.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about this teleplay, this pilot?
A lot of scene description and not I feel like more context needs to happen faster.
I actually liked it because I like watching, especially with film, not a lot has to be said to know what's going on, and that comes with a lot of setting the scene and really letting the actors just show the emotion of what's going on, or just with the setting you can get a lot of context. But yeah, I agree it could be a lot faster.
So can anyone explain what this story is about?
I mean, we're not even halfway through, so no, not for me.
Do you guys
I feel like it was leaning more towards, they're focusing on this family, the brother and the two sisters, and the fact that one of them has actually escaped, from the plantation, And I feel like her staying nearby, like she's gonna come back and wreak some havoc, especially like the way they're foreshadowing with Elliot and Marianne saying that, you know, she's always been angry and vindictive and she's smart and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I feel like something
shoot more out.
I feel like
shooting and stuff.
the family probably will end up playing a big part, like a big role in what happens with the plantation, because there are three of them. All three of them have like some kind of thing going on in their own capacities that they're working with. And I really like that the writer focused in on just like one family in the plantation, because I'm sure like with the whole community of the plantation, it shows the divide of just one family, how they're treating each other and how they're having to go through the experience together, that like it only makes you think about all the slaves out there, you know. I'm glad it's not like from the perspective of the slave owner, or just like a blanket statement of like, this is what slaves go through. It's like individual experience of one family. I really love that.
I think I think this person did a good job establishing the relationship between Sade and Malachi. I think their relationship is very well established and pretty well fleshed out, and then we have a very good like knowledge about their relationship and why she would just go out and then brandish a knife to protect him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what
I'm
do you think?
Worried that one of them might die, like just because like Elliot and the wife are just like, I have an idea. Let's like, I have a feeling like they're just gonna use them against the other sister. Like, here, I'm gonna like kill or dangle them in front of your throat to get you out. Like freaking chump to a shark. Like, come, you want to save them? Come out.
Yeah. I saw like
it was also so weird how they like described the weird obsession that some of the slave owners had with their slaves, because it's like you have so many slaves, but yet when one of them escapes, you're like, oh, I gotta go get her back and all this and that. And yeah, maybe it was because she was, you know, in their eyes really angry and vindictive and always started trouble. But at the same time, it's like, why do you have that obsession?
Right.
You know, it's like they make it very apparent in the script.
Yeah, that's how the police force started.
Ugh.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So also, Isabella, I saw that you had like a reaction to the scene where Marianne started doing opium or some kind of drug on her vein. Why is that?
Well, it was the fact that it was also like opium. It wasn't drinking, which I thought would be like more of an easy outlet for her at the time. Like she went, I don't even know there was opium back then. You can just inject with a needle.
Because the white people tried back then.
That coming.
I thought you smoke opium.
Like, back then I thought that she'd be just slugging back some whiskey. She was going to be a drunk, angry person. I didn't expect like hardcore drugs, I guess, in that time frame.
Do you think?
I then, like that part too, that they showed her doing a harder drug, because it's the white family, you saw the dynamic of like they were both living their own hell, and they're all trapped in the circle of everybody hurting each other, and just being in this place where you can't get out, so you just do anything to cope, where it's one person hurting the other person or hurting themselves and not taking care of their family or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel like it wanted to show a side of her that she's like not all there. And also like what Sahara says, like I would imagine that the stuff that they see and the things that happen to the slaves on a daily basis, I don't think there could be any human that wouldn't have that like fuck up their head, you know? Yeah, I don't understand how it would just let them be completely okay with it. And even though they may have not said it and they may act differently, you know, in front of other people and out there, it may like it would have to have, I would think it would have to have fucked with their head in some way.
Yeah.
So
really, they definitely should have added something like in her next scene of like her wearing a glove though. Because instead she punched the mirror and then twisted it and then her blood ran down. So I feel like she'd have to be wearing some sort of gloves or anything to hide that, and it wouldn't be just
She never has to use her hands. The slaves do everything for her. So.
Exactly. I just feel like it would also it would have been part of the whole like concealing portion of the fact that like I don't touch anything, or it's just like you won't see me bandaged because I'm the white privileged one. So it'd be more just like covered, just like her emotions.
Yeah, she can be wearing like one of those long gloves that they used to wear back in those days. That would make a lot of sense. Because I do agree
I
that.
did like how she didn't like her husband though. I like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, that brings to Elliot. What do you think about Elliot? Because he's obviously being portrayed as like the villain.
I want to know what his
Even.
fixation matter is, like the runaway slave, because like I feel like okay, yeah, she was angry, but I feel like there's more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe there, like the writer can easily open up for like there's something more, like maybe she has a secret on them or some dirt on them or something. Cause
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna go. I thought they were gonna go the same route like they have before, where it ends up being that he's like really in love with her, or like he had relations with her and stuff like that, and that's why he was obsessed with her.
It also makes you think, like, how did she learn how to read? You know, she had to. Only white people were allowed to read, right? So, where did she get that from? It could be something related to them, like what you said. Anyway, I actually have to go. You guys continue the conversation. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
But talk to y'all later.
Bye,
Enjoy.
Sahara.
Bye, Sahara.
All right. So, yeah, I think that would make sense. But do you think it would be better if they just do something that's not been done before?
Yeah, I can easily, like, finding dirt on them could mean a lot of different things. Like, the normal, I guess, trope is like, oh, it could be something like love affair or something, but it also could just be something random, like the fact that she found something, or like he has some sort of like deep-seated secret that she found out about. Like, he murdered another white guy, and like she found a piece of evidence and took it and like ran. So that I don't like it can be a lot of different things. You can open it up to a bunch of different things. I mean, the worst, like one of the worst situations for her would be that like she's pregnant and she ran away, because that's also like was a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it was different already in itself, though, whenever they were explaining in the script how she goes and robs the stores. And then she's like up on that tree in the branch and has all of those like sacks hanging around the branches. And she's like befriending the gators. Like, that's something I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I really like that. I also thought it was funny how like the story that the older sister was telling the kid was also having like to do with hanging stuff up in a tree, like wisdom, which makes me think like, oh, did she tell that story to her little sister, and now that's how she's hiding her goods, is up in the tree? I'm having a hopeful future for that kid Dylan. He's a child, he sees innocent, but like we never know with that one.
Right.
He seems like the innocent young child with a deep voice.
So like Isabella, you're a native Floridian, is that right?
Yeah.
So you were telling us about the alligator and how the alligator end up eating of the raw meat. Is that fact checkable?
Well, yeah, alligators will eat almost anything like you possibly throw at them, especially as she's been there for a while. Like, it's kind of hinting she could have easily already like killed one of the other alligators, or just killed that one because she's already had like target practice. But befriending the alligator is actually the smarter move. It's harder, but it actually would help her later on, especially if she needed like, I don't know, like defense around the areas. Like, if she knew or befriended like the alligators in her area, she would hear them going off if anyone came into the area. Right. Like, if anyone or anything started messing with them, because especially like, I'm gonna say like a white guy back then probably would just go for the gun to shoot the alligator, not befriend the alligator. But then she'd get like kind of like an alarm alert where it's like, someone's in the area, someone's around, or I thought it was smarter.
Yeah.
I liked it.
How would one go about befriending an alligator?
That I can't tell you exactly. That's training. I literally, like, it's literal training. And you have to understand them a lot more than I do. I know it's possible, like, God knows there's enough Florida attractions where it's like, here, watch us mess with the alligator. I even know my stepdad's friend, like, befriended an alligator, but that took years.
Mm-hmm. I know that there's a place in Florida that allows you to, like, wrestle an alligator.
Yeah, that's Florida, man. Florida nonsense for you.
But I know they, like, they tape the mouth shut. But
that's still wrong. Like, why are you messing with the alligator?
People here in Florida, like, even in my old high school, would literally, like, I'm gonna say it more like redneck people, would just say how they drive to, like, the Redlands and everything, or just, like, more of, like, south of Miami, but before Key West, and they would just mess with alligators. Like, one kid was just saying, oh yeah, he just jumped on top of one and everything, but I'm like, it's possible, but it's just dangerous.
Oh, it's incredibly dangerous.
And people just be throwing like, it's Florida. People just be doing some.
Yeah, like, I've seen, like, a video of an alligator, like, ripping apart a tractor. Like, he just, like, ripped it apart with its mouth and teeth. And
yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I would never go near an alligator unless I was Steve Irwin. Like, that's really the only guy who I would feel, like, comfortable going near an alligator.
I think you did crocodiles.
The only even funny thing I could tell you is, like, when we're children in Florida schools, they teach us, if we ever see an alligator, to run zigzag. Even though I'm not really sure how, like, truthful that is. All I know is I was taught as a child, if ever see an alligator, don't run straight. Like, you have to run zigzag, like, mess with its eye motion. And I think they said, like, if you can go into a tree, but I don't know how much that's actually accurate.
They'll be like, whoa, what is this kid doing?
I have no idea.
He's too intense. We gotta back out, guys. What were we gonna say, Ruby?
Yes.
No, nothing. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay. So, yeah.
I was just laughing at that, what she was saying.
Yeah.
I guess because, I mean, I don't know how fast alligators are, but, I mean, if they're pretty fast and you're running in a straight line and, you know, they have your sights on you, like she said, I think running in zigzag would, like, kind of throw them off if they can't look, you know, in that direction.
I know they can stand, like, super still. They pretend to be logs, and that's how they catch their prey.
Oh, yeah. Like, if anything, it's never mess with them in the water. Like, you are better off on land. At least you can, like, run. But, like, if you're in water, they will drag you down and drown you and then eat you.
Yeah.
So you're a goner.
Yeah. Back when I was living in Orlando, like, they would have multiple signs that say, don't go near the water, there might be alligators in there. And and it's the same thing. They have it all throughout Disney World too. Even in, like, the most urbanized place, they have those signs.
They find a way.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's
sometimes they just lie because they don't want people going in the lakes.
Probably.
There are water snakes though.
Oh, that doesn't sound very
will
good.
find the water no matter what.
Are they like harmful to humans? Are they poisonous?
I don't know. There's a lot of snakes in Florida. There's some that are just, like, they're fine, they'll bite you, but they're not, like, poisonous. And there's other ones that are. I don't know enough about snakes as honestly as I should.
Okay.
Living in Florida, but it's a no-go.
Okay. That's a no from me, dog.
Mm-hmm.
So may we ask, like, what exactly is your ethnicity?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, ethnicity?
Yeah.
I'm Peruvian, Irish, Scottish, and Mexican.
Okay. So that's to let everyone know that she is mostly Mexican and Peruvian, along with some Scottish and Irish. So she is not, like, 100%
yeah,
white.
It's a mix. It's just a flat mix. Like, I'm more Peruvian, and then, like, it's Scottish and Irish because, like, I don't really know which is from exactly. They moved. It's a complicated thing because, like, that side of the family is Sloan, and Sloan's, all I knew about them is, like, they started in Ireland, they moved to Scotland, and then Britain invaded Scotland and then they went back to Ireland. So it's like they just got a lot of mixed blood.
Okay.
But it's mainly just Peruvian, that mixture, and then like got some Mexican in there with my grandma, and her father is all Mexican through and through.
Okay. Sounds good. So what do we think about what is our final thoughts on Swing Low? Is it like a really good teleplay so far?
I want to see where it goes because right now it's kind of just like dark, and then it's kind of even like painful to watch, especially like when you care about like the change. It's like it's good to like, I guess it's good to see like how bad it was, but it's like I hate even the word of like the N word being used in this, because it hits a certain chord with you where you're just like, I hate that word. I don't ever want that word to be used, especially in the 21st century. But like I want to see where this goes, because like I'd want the slaves to win. If they're gonna overthrow the plantation, I say let's go.
Yeah.
They deserve to be free.
Yeah.
They deserve to overthrow it. So that's why I'm like, I hope Dayu coming out with the bullets and coming out strong.
Yeah. I hope they all Dio and Sade, like they're the women. I hope they become the women protagonists, and like since the brother Malachi is like injured, you know, they're kind of like the ones that save the man, you know, and you don't often see that. So that would be awesome to see.
I didn't even think about that. Like she's right. I'm really happy that they're also women, because usually, especially when it comes to like older westerns, it's like men are always kind of the staple, but this one's women. I like it.
Like on Django from the Quentin Tarantino film.
Yeah.
You know, he's the savior. He's the slave savior.
Yeah, I hate like the whole Atticus complex with it's always having like a white savior. It's like it'd be nice to have like more of like a Harriet Tubman type of story where it's like, no, like she's a black savior. And I like that she had her brother's back. Like I would love that.
So
I'd love to see where it goes.
Yeah. So would you option this show to be produced? Yes or no?
I think
I don't know.
Well, that's what he's saying as of right now. Would you, yes or no? I think I would want to see where it goes. So I want to
see where it goes.
So I would say yes. Everyone would say yes across the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Swing Low. That was a really good script. My only notes are just those types of things. Some little nitpicky things, and also maybe have the inciting incident happen a bit earlier in the script, but that's about it. So yep, that was Swing Low, and that is it for today, guys. Yay! All right, I've been Nathaniel Avila with Ruby Rodriguez and Isabella Bisbal and Sahara Ale, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Okay, bye, you guys.
Bye, Isabella.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye, Nate.
Bye.